Good morning. My name is Hansin Obole. Welcome to the live class. Today we'll be looking at soilless farming, how to grow plants without soil. The first question people would always want to know is, why are we concerned about growing plants without soil, especially in a country where we seem to have a large expanse of land? So number one is you realize the fact that despite the large expanse of land in the country, the reality is up north we have what we call desertification, down south we have the coastal encroachment, in the middle belt we have different pockets of crisis that has to a large extent distorted farming. Then we also have our normal practices like abnormal practices that have become the norm, like bush burning, deforestation. Now all of these affect climate and over time also have a high impact on food productivity. And the reality is, when you check the soil profile of Nigeria farms, the level of fertility is getting worse and worse. And for most farmers, they do not go out to actually check their soil profile before they apply fertilizer. And this to a large extent means that they tend to use fertilizer that the plant might not even need, which would affect the crop, affect the environment, destroy the groundwater. So soilless farming, like I tell people, is a way to produce crop without soil. But it's also important we understand that soilless farming is not meant to be a way to replace soil, but rather a way to complement soil production, soil-based production. Hello, good morning. So soilless farming is just a way to complement soil-based production. It also helps to ensure that we have what we call urban and peri-urban farming, meaning we don't have to go into villages, rural areas before we can produce our food. We can come a bit to the city. So quickly we'll get into this because we have just an hour. So what I want to do is we are going to spend 10 minutes on introduction and 10 minutes per module so that we can finish this quick. Good morning, hello, good morning. So we'll just look at this quick. First we'll start with what is soilless farming. Now, from our basic understanding, we know that plant requires light to grow. Plant requires light. Now it's important you know that not necessarily sunlight, they just require light. The best color for plants to grow is red and blue, but in the absence of red and blue, they can use white light. So it's not necessarily sunlight, light. Two, they require air. So their requirement for air is not just the fact that they need air, they need carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen. Much more than that, air allows them to get strength. So without air, they will just be spindle shaped. Then they require the right temperature, they require clean water. So clean water basically is clean water with pH of about 7. pH of about 7 is clean water with TDS less than 50. TDS means total dissolved solid less than 50. pH is 7 approximately. Now, for water, usually I tell people, if you don't have your pH meter, TDS meter and all of that for your testing, how do you then choose the clean water that you need to use? Well, you can simply look for whatever water you know is good enough for you to drink, most likely is good enough for your plant. Then we have usually soil. So let's talk about this component called soil. What are the functions of soil? What are the functions of soil naturally? Now you realize that soil has 3 basic functions. First function is it gives support to the plant, because if we understand the function of soil, it will be easier to remove soil and replace with any other thing. So number one is soil gives support, meaning it holds the roots of the plant firmly to the ground. 2, soil allows for what we call water retention. Water retention. So it is soil that holds water in place, that keeps water. So anytime rain falls or you do irrigation or whatever it is that you use to bring water, you expect the soil to be able to retain the water. Then it also allows for aeration, for air to pass. So usually you know that as a traditional farmer, we do not kill our earthworms. We would say, oh, let the earthworms roam around. The reason for that being that earthworms create holes in the ground, which allows air to come into the ground, essentially, which allows, air to come into the ground. So soil has three basic functions: support, water retention, then aeration. For this to make proper sense, remember when we were in school, we had taught that we have three types of soil. We had sandy, we had clay, we had loamy. Now, if you judge based on these characteristics, let's say support is A, water retention is B, aeration is C. Now, your sandy soil cannot support, so it fails on the area of support. Water retention, it fails. Aeration is the only thing it has. If we come to clay, clay can support, clay can give water retention, but doesn't have good aeration. So it passes in these two, it fails in this. This fails in both. Then when it comes to loamy soil can support, retain water, and obviously help in aeration. So you realize that we use loamy soil to grow just because it can perform these three basic functions, which are support the plants, help in water retention, help in aeration. So what then is soilless farming? What then is soilless farming? Soilless farming is anything that we can use to replace this, whatever substance or group of substances that we can combine to replace loamy soil, such that we are growing the plant without the use of soil, is what we call soilless farming. So once you remove the soil component in planting, what you are now doing is soilless farming. I hope we understand that. Yeah, good morning. Thanks everyone for joining me. I'm trying to rush because we have just an hour and I want us to go through different types of systems and what you can do at all. So now that we understand this, we say, why then soilless farming? You realize that with soilless farming, you can plant any time of the year. You are not season dependent, which also means that food production will no longer be seasonal. Two, you can control the amount of fertilizer you apply such that you give the plant exactly what it needs per time. You save on the use of water, which is very, very important. You don't have to worry about things like weeding, your herbicide, your insecticide, your fungicide, and all the other sides. You're able to do away with them. You can build systems, you can put your farm anywhere, meaning even if in your house everywhere is already cemented and you're thinking there is no space, with soilless farming you can still do something. You can put your farm anywhere. So we'll quickly go to the different types basically. So I will zero in on the practicals quickly on what you can do at home. Now, basically, remember we talked about the fact that the type of soil we use in growing is loamy. And you know that loamy soil is a solid. Now, in replacement of loamy soil, we have two options. We can replace loamy soil as being a solid with another solid. Okay. So we can replace solid with solid or floating system. Now, what you need for this is you need a container, any big container, any kind of container you can get, one. Then you would need a styrofoam. So for the purpose of this class, this is what we're going to be using. So you need a container that we'll be using. So this container will perform the second function, which we talked about, retention of water. Then we need a styrofoam. So we want to use this styrofoam to create a support system. If you know there are plants that can come close together without affecting each other's growth, you can bring them very close. So here we have a drilling machine. So for the purpose of this, I'll just drill a hole. So we'll just use one hole. So now I have drilled a hole where I am going to put whatever I want to use as support system. Now for the purpose of this class, I have what we call mesh cup. Which I am going to be using. In case you cannot get a mesh cup, you can also use a disposable cup. So if you are using a disposable cup, what you do is take your disposable cup, cut holes at the bottom, put so many holes at the bottom, so that when you fix this like that, you notice that this is standing now. This can enter inside your water. Very important. You want this to be able to enter inside your water. So this is where you are going to take your plant from your nursery and place. Now, when you put your plant from your nursery here, there is a tendency that the plant cannot stand well. So you can cut regular foam, put the plant in between and lock it up like that. Or you can use things like palm kernel or charcoal to hold the plant in place. And you fix like that, you are done. It's that simple. I don't know if there are questions. Let me check the screen. Don't know if there are questions. You can. Any question? I'm guessing none at the moment. So we'll go on to the next one. So with this, you realize that it is quite simple to set up. So this acts as your water retention. Here you have your support system, you have your foam, your plant in between. You can use a foam to hold the plant, or you can use fine tiny pebbles. You can also use fine tiny pebbles to hold your plant. So once you have your plant transplanted in between, you can use fine tiny pebbles to hold your plant. So remember that inside here you have water. So this space that you are leaving by the side allows for aeration. So if we take again the function of soil, we said number one function of soil is support. So this plays the role of support, water retention, aeration. So I hope this makes sense. So this is the first method that we use in soilless growing. The second method that we'll talk about is what we call the deep water culture. Now, the deep water culture is somewhat similar to the raft system or raceway system. The only difference is in the deep water culture, the container is totally covered. The container is totally covered, which means there is no way for air to exchange naturally. Let me look for another way to explain that. I will use a mop bucket. Because for those of us that didn't get the first one, let me use a mop bucket to explain. You know the way our mop bucket looks like. So we have the bucket. Then we have, okay, let me do it this way. We have the cover. Then you know there is a part of the bucket that looks like a basket. So what we are saying is this part of the bucket here helps in water retention. This is the meaning of raft system. This part here that looks like a basket is where you will put your plants and put either clay pebbles or anything that will make you help your plant stand. So this is for plant support. There is a space normally where you put your bucket and your mop inside the bucket. This is where you squeeze. So this open space here will allow for aeration. So typically this is your raft system. You realize you don't need any special thing, but a part of it must be open, because this open part is what allows for aeration. But when we come to deep water culture, DWC, in DWC, the system is totally covered. So take for example, I'll be using this as a sample. So we can use this kind of container, for example, for your DWC. So I've already cut this one down so that for ease of the class. So normally, if you can imagine, all these holes are closed originally. I get my drilling machine, I put holes depending on the size of the mesh net or disposable cup I want to use. I have my tiny foams. Now, if I cover everything like this, like we did before, now you realize that if I cover everything like this, like in the earlier one we talked about, this retains my water for water retention. This small mesh net and my foam, this is ordinary foam, will act as my support system. But because there is no open space, this plant cannot have aeration. Now, in the case of deep water culture, the only way to ensure that there is aeration is to get what we call air stone. So I will have to fix an air stone inside my deep water culture. So there is a need for aeration. So let me look for a pump. Okay, there's a pump here. So if I connect my air pump to power, then let me put in some water in here. Let's get some water in here. So we understand what air pump does. So I connect my air stone. So this is my air stone connected here. I put that in. So you see, this is the function of the air pump. So with my air stone connected, my air pump is able to provide air for the system. So that when I have my plants on top, so let's take it through. So when I have my plants on top, my plants are able to get air automatically. That's just the meaning of aeration, providing aeration. This is not passing through the hole. Let me use my other one. Okay. So I created a small hole that it can pass through. So again, it's still the same thing. I'm just trying to connect that. Still the same thing. So this is an air pump that I am connecting it to, like they use in aquarium. You can get them online. You can go on Jumia or Konga, you can get it online. So essentially this is it. So okay, I just put this small thing so I will always know the volume of water when the water is low. So if you notice, the water must be full enough so that the root of my plant can touch the water and collect nutrients. This is where the nutrient would also be. So this is the meaning of deep water culture. You can use bucket, you can use any container, but the basic difference between deep water culture and raceway or raft system basically is the use of edge stone, because in deep water culture, the system is totally covered. Now, for the sake of planting, so that because of time, I think we only have like 30 minutes to go. So if... Okay, so let me check for the questions, just a minute. Yeah, mesh cup or mesh net, hydroponic mesh net or mesh cup is called a mesh net or a cup. Then if you cannot get a mesh net or a mesh cup, you can buy disposable cup. When you buy the disposable cup, put holes at the bottom. You know, the most important thing is when you put it in water, you want the water to be able to pass through. So mesh net or mesh cup. These are regular foams. They are regular foams. They are not special foams. They are regular foam. So cut the foam based on what you want to achieve. If you do not get a foam, the reason why this is small simply means that the plant does not require so much space. Then, so this is for deep water culture. I hope this makes sense. So it's quite simple. Again, let me also state that your air stones comes in different sizes. So they are not all tiny. They can be as big as you want them to be. So let me show this another air stone. I hope this is still working. I just saw it in my things this morning. So you can see that is still air stone. It doesn't have to be this tiny. We have different sizes. They come in various shapes. So it doesn't have to be this tiny. The most important thing is you want to be sure that when you put it, because once you put the air stone will land at the bottom of your container. How do you know whether your air stone is enough for what you are doing? The bubbles you are creating must be able to move from the bottom to the top. So if you are creating bubbles, but the bubbles are not getting to the top, that air stone is not enough. So you have to go for something bigger or increase the quantity of air stone. So it's not like the whole water has to be bubbling, no. As long as the bubble can go from the bottom to the top, your air stone is enough. So that is that. So we run to the weekly rush up to go and do the next. You can buy the air stone from Jumia. You can buy air pump from Jumia.com. You can buy them from Konga.com. You can buy from Amazon. I'm not doing advert for anybody. Then, if electrical? Yes, it requires electricity. You can see it has to be plugged. Then, if you don't want to buy from Jumia or Konga, you can also contact PS Nutrak. PS Nutrak is in Lagos. You can send an Nutrak info@psnewtrack.com, or you can check the website and send a request from there. Either way, you will get air stone, air pump, and all of that. So that's now the pH of the water, like I said, should be around 7, it's between 6.5 and 7. But again, let me also add, if you don't have a pH meter to test, use the water that you know is good enough for drinking. If the water can't be drunk, if you can't drink the water, then it is not good enough for your plants. So that is on. So the first two systems we've talked about, I'm sure we understood that. So we'll run up to the third system because of time. The third system. So the third system. Oops, this thing is taking water. The third system we'll be looking at is your vertical system. How can I plant? Because people want to ask, okay, how can I plant so many things on a single layer? How can you plant so much? So let's go for a vertical system again. I can't carry that one out now, but I will try to explain as much as I can. For you to build these, what you require would be 1, your PVC pipes. Your PVC pipes are those pipes that a plumber uses for plumbing work. So you need a PVC pipe. You need the accessories, obviously. Oh, this I forget. You don't need your air stone to work 24 hours a day. 2 to 3 hours a day is okay to provide enough air. As long as you know that the bubble gets to the top, that is more than enough. Okay, let's come back here. So with PVC pipe, accessories, then a pumping machine. Basically. Now, for you to do your connection, you may need the help of a plumber. No, you may. Yeah, why I say you may? If you are good with plumbing work, basic plumbing work, you don't need the help of a plumber. But if not, you may need the help of a plumber. You may also need the help of a carpenter. The help of a carpenter depends on what you want to use as a stand. You can decide you want to use wooden stand. You might decide you want to use iron stand, then you will need a welder. You may decide you want to use stronger PVC pipe as a stand, then you don't need a carpenter or welder. So I will try to explain how these things will be done quickly. So what you simply need is a simple one that you can build is get a carpenter to build you something like a ladder. So let's say we have 4 steps of your ladder like that. Like a ladder. A ladder that can stand alone, meaning can stand alone. Not like you have to rest it on something. It can stand alone. Build 2 of that, the same height. I hope this makes sense. So you are building something like a ladder that can stand alone. Meaning I can put one here, put another one here. Don't know if that makes sense. Like a ladder, one here, the same height, another one here. This acts as the stand. If you don't want to use wood, you can tell a welder to build a similar structure. It doesn't. This is just an example, a simple one that you can do. Now, once you have this, imagine you already have this built. Determine how long, how far apart you want to place them. That will determine the length of your PVC pipe. So remember that your PVC pipe normally is something like this that has a hollow structure. Now, the size of the PVC pipe that you will choose depends on the kind of plant you want to grow. If, for example, let's say this is, I don't know, let's say 10 inches PVC pipe, what will determine whether I choose this or this pipe is, this would mean the crops I am growing have shallow roots, meaning their roots don't go so deep. They are not that many. So this is shallow roots. Why this would mean what I am growing are deep-rooted crops, essentially. So shallow roots, deep roots, shallow roots. So as the roots, as you know that as the density of the roots increases, you gradually increase the PVC pipe. You gradually move on to a PVC pipe with larger circumference. I hope that makes sense. So once you have picked your PVC pipe, the next thing, like we did before, is we need to create a support system where we are going to put either the mesh cup or your disposable cup for support. Now, the distance between one hole and the other is going to be dependent on the kind of plant again you want to grow. So I have my mesh cup coming in here. These are for my mesh cup with whatever support system you want to use for the plant, like we discussed before. You would have them in there. I hope that makes sense. So remember that we have your, what is it called now, your ladder-like structure. So you want to place this thing on top of the ladder. You can have as many rows as you want. Let that make sense. So you can have one, another one, another one, another one, as many as you want. Now this is one layer. Then your next layer, the distance between this layer and this layer is dependent by what is the maximum height the plant I want to grow can go. Now the rule is always leave times half, meaning if my plant can go 1 meter, the distance between here and here should be 1.5 meter. If my plant can grow 2 meter, the distance I will leave will be 3 meter. So that is what will determine this space. I hope that makes sense. So once we understand this, so let me now draw it out in a less complex form. So I have my first layer. Remember we said we want to start with 4. Now I have my second layer, my third layer, and my fourth layer. So my pumping machine, so I'm going to have a nutrient tank where my nutrient and water and everything would be. This is where I replace my pumping machine. My pumping machine is here. My pumping machine would only pump nutrients to the topmost layer, not to every layer. So I pump nutrient to the topmost layer. Once the nutrient enters, it will flow this way. It will flow this way. Then the accessories, you will use them to connect this like that, so that the water would come this way. You connect this to this point so that the water would come this way. You connect this to this point, so the water will flow this way and return back to the tank.
The tank is in a house, Abi. The tank is in a house.
The tank can be on, it must be on, it can be underground, it can be anywhere. But just make sure your tank is smaller, is lower than your last layer. So this is it basically. So once you do this, what you have successfully done is nutrient film technique, NFT. Nutrient film technique. Now, for this kind of system, your pumping machine has to be on 24 hours. And somebody now is thinking, come, Samson, don't you know we are in Nigeria, there is no 24 hours light. If you don't want to do it that way, another option is have two tanks. Have two tanks. Place now, please remember, when this is pumping, you should not pump with high pressure to move very fast. You want the water to go slowly all around. In the case where you don't want to use too much electricity, what you can do is have a second tank up. Have a stand to place the tank up, so that this is like a tap. And you just connect this like this down, so the water keeps flowing all day and comes in here. And when you should know how long it will take this water to get empty, so that once this water gets empty, you pump it back. You are still doing NFT. The only difference is you are going to spend extra cost raising the tank up and opening, but this will be a one-time cost. So let me check if there are questions. So even if you have multiple rows, all you need to do is with your multiple rows, like, so let's say these are my multiple rows. As the water is coming, you have, I think there is a, is it C, what they call it, that here. You can use it to separate the water. That's why I say you need a good plumber. Or the plumber knows how to connect all of them together so the water can flow through. That's why I say you need a good plumber that can help you connect. If you don't want to do the ladder kind of structure, another simpler structure, still NFT, that you can do is the A type of structure, meaning you have a carpenter help you build something that looks like an A. So if you can imagine something like this, I don't know, something like this, so that you have PVC pipes lined up on either side. You have PVC pipes lined up on either side, the same way on the other round. Then you have, this is the topmost one. So the same way we connected, you connect, it flows, you connect, it flows, you connect, it flows.
Do you have a certain time?
So let me see questions again. So do we have a certain type to change the nutrient, or the ones we had? No, so I'm going to still talk about nutrients. That's what I'm trying to rush. I will talk about nutrients in the last maybe 5 minutes of the class. I will quickly rush through nutrients. So you notice that everything that we have talked about so far has to do with water. Remember that when we started, I said we want to replace loamy soil. And we said loamy soil is a solid. And we said it can be solid to solid or solid to liquid. So all that we have talked about has been liquid. So liquid, so we talked about 3 types of system. We talked about raft system. We talked about deep water culture. Then we talked about NFT, how to set up easily, which is quite simple. So quickly now we'll rush to a solid using aggregate medium. Now in the use of a solid, we are looking for things that can play the role of solid that is not soil and we have available around us. So simple examples will be sawdust, rice hulls, and coconut fiber. Please, you can always go back and rewatch the video to understand. I'm trying to rush because of time. So sawdust and rice hull. Now, if you want to use either of these two, remember that normally, because you do not know the exact source, when I say exact source, you are not sure about the health of where they came from, there is a need to sterilize them. Now, for us to sterilize, all you need to do is get a container, either a pot, a drum, depending on the quantity that you are doing. Get a container, put it on top of fire. So here you have fire. Pour them inside the container. We call this dry sterilization. Now, once you put it inside and you bring in the fire, you are going to know it is sterilized when it becomes black. It becomes black. Once it becomes black, we call them carbonated sawdust or carbonated rice hull. So this is an example. We can also use coconut fiber. Now, coconut fiber, for those of us that are eating coconut, coconut does not come in this small form that we usually eat it. It comes inside a big pod. Now, inside the coconut itself, there are fibers that look like sponge inside. So get these fibers harvested. Maybe tell the farmer who has coconut to get you these fibers. Take the fibers, soak in water. Soak in water. Why are we soaking? Coconut fiber on its own tastes a bit salty, meaning it is alkaline. And we cannot grow with an alkaline medium. So get a water that you know is clean, that is drinkable water. Use it to soak the fiber. You keep changing the water until you soak it for like maybe 6 to 12 hours. Change water until you know the salty taste is gone. You can also use a pH meter if you don't want to be changing too much of water. You can get your pH meter until the fiber is clean, meaning the pH is now neutral like that of the water. Now that your soaked fiber, dry it in the sun, let it be properly dried. Once it is dried, the next step is grind. You can give it to these people that grind the existing called elubo. That's yam flour or cassava flour elubo or plantain flour elubo. They can help you grind, but you don't want to grind it to be totally smooth. It's not going to be totally smooth, it's still be in form of shaft. So either of them, there are other options like vermiculite, pellets and all, but I don't want to disturb us with that because they are not locally available. So either of these three can be used for growing. So if you use carbonated sawdust, carbonated rice hull, or your coconut fiber, once you have processed it, we start calling them cocoa pits or cocoa coir. So any of them can be used for the purpose of soilless growing. Now, how do we use them? You can decide to get your regular grow bags or your regular cement bags, wash them, put any of these substrates inside. Once you do that, what you are doing is soilless farming. I hope that makes sense. Or you can also decide to get vertical planters. So these are what we call vertical planters. So if you are using a vertical planter, how do you know a good vertical planter? Notice there are holes at the bottom that allows the excess water to run off. Here there are things like a cup that will store water for the plant so that it is the excess water that runs off. There is a hole at the center where you can install a rod to make it stand so that it doesn't fall off, or your irrigation pipe, whichever one you want to use. They come with aerators. So this is an aerator. So here we have just 3 sets. So we'll just use this as a quick example. So here you have 4 pockets. So in pouring your substrate should not pass this dented level, so that when water is coming, it has a place to rest. So you fix like that. There are grooves at the bottom. There are grooves at the bottom that allows them to stay put. And you fix like that. I'm trying to look at what is the other one here. And like that. So you are done. So you realize that with this, you are able to grow more plants in this small area. Remember that you are like that with this, you are able to grow more plants. So from this little space now, I can grow 12. Is it 4 times 3, 12 years? I can grow 12. And with the rod at the middle, it stays solid. So this is basically vertical planting. To get your vertical plastic, you can contact iFarm, you can contact PS Nutrac, you can also contact Gartner Colorway to get your vertical plastics for growing. Any of them can help you get it. So let me see for questions. We're almost done. How do you get started? How do you get started from the scratch for somebody that has never planted before? So quickly I will come to nursery. So first and foremost, you will have to do a nursery. So we have what we call nursery tray. If you don't have access to a nursery tray, you can use an egg tray. There are different types of nursery tray. This one has 200 holes. There are those with 36, 72 holes, different number of holes. A nursery is just where you will put your seed to start. Where you put your seeds to start. You can follow Salma's Garden. She has a lot of things on her page on starting a nursery properly, and also I think Okwe Farms. You can learn, but for your nursery, get any of these substrates that we talked about: sawdust, carbonated rice or carbonated cocoa fiber, or there are other ones like this. You have root plugs and others that you can easily use for your nursery. It is the plant from your nursery that you are transplanting to all of these systems. When you are doing your nursery, you do your nursery in a cool place. You do your nursery in a cool place. For tuber crops, we have another system called aeroponics, or you can use this substrate method. You can use this substrate method for tuber crops or aeroponics. I did not discuss aeroponics today because of time. We have less than 15 minutes to go, and I want to discuss. So, can you post all the important handles? Okay, yes, I will. At the end of the lecture, the video will be available on my line for the video will be available on my line. So let me post all the important handles I talked about. I'll write all the handles so that you can see it. I'm looking for my marker because I want to talk about nutrients in another few minutes. That will go off. There is at iFarm. I don't know if there is underscore after or not, but iFarm. Then the other handle, there is at Gartner Callaway. I hope I spelled it right. The other handle is at PS Nutrac. Then there is at, I hope I am spelling this correct, Okwe Farms, at Salma's Garden. So at iFarm, you can get those vertical grow buckets I talked about. You can also get nutrients from her. Gartner Callaway, you can get the vertical grow bucket. You can also get the nutrient from him. PS Nutrac, the same thing, the grow bucket, your nutrient. For Okwe Farms, you can get step by step, if you go through our page, step by step on nursery setup. The same thing with Salma's Garden. You can also get step by step on nursery setup. Then for those asking of tubers, I said for tubers, remember, tuber cannot stay inside water. So which means the first three methods we talked about, NFT, raft, and deep water culture will not be good enough for your tubers. However, I said the use of aggregate medium, where we are using either carbonated sawdust, we are using a carbonated rice hull, or cocoa fiber can do your tuber. You just get a big enough container that you know will give you the size of the tuber that you want. I hope that makes sense. That is for tuber. Then there is another system that we also use called aeroponics. I said, but because of time, I will not be able to go into aeroponics now. So I will quickly jump into nutrient discussion. I'll jump into nutrient discussion. The cocoa fiber, must you grind it? Yes. If you don't grind the coconut fiber, it will not be able to absorb so much water. It will not be able to help you absorb so much water. How to supply water to vertical planter? How to supply water to vertical planter? Is it powdered sawdust or the unrefined? No, your normal sawdust, the normal powdered sawdust that you get from carpenters, that's the one we'll be using. Now, how do you supply water to your vertical planter? You have two options. If what you have is small. You can pour water in the top 2 layers, the water will go all through. But if what you have of your vertical planter is on the commercial base, so you know that we said you will put a rod through the middle of your vertical planter. So imagine there is a rod passing through all of your vertical planters. So if we have this rod, so imagine all of these are rods passing through your vertical planter. At the top of the vertical planter, you have like a support system. It can be semi-cycle or cycle, whichever one you want to use, it doesn't matter. Then have a plumber help you run through a PVC pipe. The plumber will help you run through a PVC pipe. So this PVC pipe obviously is coming from your nutrient tank with pumping machine. So here he is going to release outlets into your vertical planter that will provide nutrients to your vertical planter. I hope that makes sense. You don't need to run this 24 hours a day. The reason being that your substrate, whether coconut fiber, rice hull, or your rice hull or carbonated sawdust, they can hold water for a bit. So if you probably water in the morning, you may not need to feed them again till afternoon, then again till evening. I hope that answers that. So we quickly rush to nutrients. We're almost out of time. We'll rush to nutrients. We have just about 10 minutes. So for nutrients, we have 2 basic types: inorganic, and organic. So these are the 2 basic types of nutrients that are available, whether you have inorganic or organic. For inorganic nutrients, buy these ones. You may not be able to make yourself, but you can purchase them online or in different places, or check all of those handles that I said you can get the vertical planters from. You can also get your inorganic nutrient. But very important, remember, because what you are doing with most of the time is water solution, the characteristics are this must be soluble in water. It must be soluble in water. It's very important. It must be soluble in water too. Buy a nutrient that corresponds with what you want to grow. Now for inorganic nutrients, we have like 3 main types. We have what we call the single nutrient. I don't usually advise that you buy single nutrient, which means you are buying calcium nitrate, this nitrate, you are buying all of them single, and you come and combine everything together on your own. These at times could be tedious because it will require you finding out what exactly does the plant need per time. Then we have what we call the A and B. So the A and B is dependent on the definition of the maker. So at times A could mean macronutrient, while B will mean micronutrient. At times it could also mean, at times A could mean there is macro, micro, what is the academy? Sorry, I'm trying to rush through. This could be presented, it could mean vegetative, that's to produce leaves, while B would mean flowering. So you need to know what does their A and B mean when you are buying, and it should correspond with what you want to grow when you are buying. Then we also have what we call the mist. The mist is the one that contains everything together in one, meaning macro, micro, vegetative, everything is inside one. This is not usually too advisable. This is usually the best, except you are growing leafy vegetables. If you are growing strictly leafy vegetables, you can go for this 3rd option. So this is the mist. Then other example, so this is for inorganic. Now for organic nutrients, there are different sources, but one of the easiest is look for somebody that has a fish pond. That water that they want to throw away, you can also use it to grow your plants. You can also use it to grow your plant. Now, quickly, before we round up, we already have like 7 minutes to go. You will need a pH meter if you want to go a little bit large to always test the quality of your water. You will need a TDS EC meter. So I'll quickly explain this. Now your TDS means total dissolved solid or solid. Total dissolved solid. Your TDS meter tells you how much nutrient you have in that solution per time. So when you want to grow without soil, it is important you check what is the TDS requirement of the plant I want to grow. You have all this information online. So you need to know, is there enough nutrients within my solution? Now also put in mind that if your pH of the water you started with is not okay, if it is not around 7, and the TDS of the ordinary water is not okay, there is a high probability that the TDS you are going to calculate when you put in your nutrient solution will not be accurate. 2, we have what we call the EC, which is electrical conductivity. Your TDS and EC meter come together as a single meter, so it performs double function. Your electrical conductivity meter helps to calculate how fast or how easy it is for the plant to absorb the nutrients in that solution. So I say that again. Your EC meter will help you to calculate how easy it is for the plant to collect that nutrient solution. So it is one thing to have nutrients in your solution. It's another thing for the plant to be able to pick it up. So if your TDS is okay and your EC is not okay, there will be nutrients but the plant cannot pick it up. Now your EC and TDS data are usually available online. Click on any, type any crop on any of your search engines and write the name of the crop and request for the TDS EC. They will give you the TDS, the EC, and the pH range of the plant, what the pH is supposed to be. So these are the basics. I hope you learned a thing or two. It will be available online. The class will still be available for 24 hours so that you can always come back and watch. So since you are growing, can the planter be placed in an open space? Yes, you can place it in an open space. If you are growing tomatoes and pepper, what you need is the A-B solution. So you probably need your A to be vegetative growth. So once they've started flowering, you will now switch from vegetative growth to fruiting. So if you are growing tomatoes and pepper, you want to start with vegetative. It gives them enough greens. Once the greens are enough, then once you notice the plant has started flowering, you switch from vegetative to fruiting. That's why I said if you are doing fruit-based vegetable or fruit-based plant, you want to use the A and B method. But if you are using, if you are growing leafy vegetables, that's plants that you are just getting leaves from, not fruit, then you can stick to the one that is already pre-mixed on your behalf. So the one that is already pre-mixed on your behalf, you can easily go there and get, it can give you everything you need essentially. But it's always important, check what is available as composition vis-a-vis what your plant requires to grow. Thank you so much. I think, let me see if there's a question again. Can we have a downloadable video? I would see. No, the tomatoes are not too large. It depends on the kind of tomatoes you want to grow. We have what we call determinate and indeterminate tomatoes. Your determinate tomatoes are those tomatoes that when you harvest, they die almost immediately. They don't grow so tall. So you can use that for your vertical planter. But if it's your indeterminate tomatoes that will keep growing, that can last about 6, 8 and so much, you don't use a vertical planter. You can use any version of the grow bags to grow them. That would be a better option. Grow bags if you know it's an indeterminate tomatoes. So, which other question? So how often do you change nutrient? You check the pH. Your pH, your EC or TDS, but mostly your pH. Now, if you are doing deep water culture or raft system or even your NFT, if you come in and you look at the plant and it's as if the root of the plant is no longer getting too wide, it means the pH is no longer okay. But I would advise get a pH meter. Your pH meter, if you are buying it abroad, should cost less than 3,000 naira or so, I think. I'm not sure. to get a pH meter, and they are quite easy to use. So you can get a pH meter that would guide. Again, if your pH meter, if your water becomes dirty, maybe especially if you probably keep it outside where there are debris and all, of course you would have to change once it becomes dirty. Thank you so much. I hope you learned a thing or two. Have a great weekend. Download the video
Before ending.